Hello and welcome to the Knit Cafe. My name is Julie, coming to you from Loveland, Colorado. Welcome back if you are a continued viewer. Big welcome to those of you who are new. This is a podcast about building community, mindful crafting, and coffee. As always, our love of coffee. So grab your beverage of choice, kick back with me for a little while, and I will show you what I'm up to. So we'll talk about what's on the menu for today. I have been up to a lot this week. It's been very busy, so I will talk to you a little bit about some of the things I've been doing in the world of teaching. I also have an announcement about our KAL for this summer, our Inclusion and Diversity KAL, so stay tuned for that. That's going to be very exciting. I'm very happy about that. I want to also talk to you about why I teach about mindfulness, why it's important to me, and how it applies to our crafting, okay? I know a lot of you have asked about the crafting room here and some of the things that are on the shelves, so I want to take you on a little detour there as I guess a little field trip of the craft room today. And then last but not least, I want to talk to you about just some things that I have finished recently, things that are still on the needles and such, and what is upcoming next. And that will be our menu for du jour. Okay, so what I have been doing. I just came home from a week of a lot of teaching. I am teaching a class on the Sew Faded sweaters. So yes, I am wearing my Sew Faded right now. I knit myself kind of a loose boxy version of the Sew Faded so that I could wear it for summertime, short sleeves. I think I've shown this to some of you or on this podcast a few episodes ago, but yes, so I have it on today. I have all these beautiful Hue Loco yarns in here. Yeah, I faded about 5 different colors. Of course, you can do less. The pattern, I think, there's like a minimum of 3, but I kind of went crazy with my yarn and just blended all these blues and aquas and purples together, and I just really love it. So anyway, so I'm teaching that class. It's been going really well, really enjoying that. I'm also teaching a workshop on mindfulness for knitters right now, and that, you guys, has been so fulfilling and rewarding. I really have loved that class. And then I also have had a very busy week at work. As you know, in my professional day job, I am in learning operations for a very large consulting firm. And we just had a day of developing you for all of the Denverites in our Denver office. And I got to participate in helping put that together and also to be a facilitator of mindfulness for the executives in our Denver office. So that was very, very rewarding. And it got me thinking about mindfulness and why I like to teach it. And I want to go into that a little bit for you guys today. Needless to say, it's just been a very busy week, so you haven't really seen me. I was hoping to get a podcast out earlier this week. And thank you, by the way, for all of your birthday wishes. I really do appreciate that. It was really fun to hear from many of you who wished me a happy birthday. Yes, turning 51 was a little bit of a hurdle for me. I think we had a bit of a heat wave this week, okay? So it wasn't really a fun joke for me to be experiencing all of this sweaty hotness, and I kind of was like, is this the crummy way of turning 51? You start getting all of the hot flashes, etc. And I apologize if you're male and watching this podcast, but you know, us women turning 50s, going through the changes and all of that, and I couldn't figure out if it was me just getting older, if that was my birthday present, waking up to a bunch of hot flashes all of a sudden, or if it just really was the weather. And so we're having a little bit cooler weather today, so I thought I'd try to podcast again. I tried to podcast on my birthday on the 15th, and it was just so miserably hot. Every 2 seconds I was like, whoa, I'm dying. And I couldn't put that on air. So I'm sorry. I thought, no, I'll just wait. I'll wait till everything calms down. I'll wait till all the teaching of the week calms down. Have a minute to breathe. I have a minute to just cool off. And sure enough, the weather is so much nicer today, and I hope it stays that way. And I hope that I'm not one of those women that has to experience a lot of those changes. At least not yet. I'm really, I'm hoping to push it off a little bit longer, but you know, it's inevitable for all of us. I did go and pamper myself a little bit for my birthday. I got my hair done. I got some highlights put in to start covering up the lovely grays. I got my nails done and a pedicure, so it was a really nice birthday. A little bit of pampering to me, so I think we all need that from time to time, right? Yes, getting older means it's like having, you know, a car that just needs a little bit more maintenance and a little bit more maintenance year after year. And so yes, I had a weekend of maintenance at the spa. But yeah, it was a great weekend. So anyway, back to the teaching and the mindfulness workshops and seminars. So, you know, the kind of mindfulness that I teach primarily at work is to help people understand that their mind is a muscle, that it can be trained, and that you can be more productive if you learn to slow down, if you learn to declutter the mind, and you do some mindfulness training where you're focusing on your breath, you're focusing on your counting, and you're learning how to do that for longer periods of time. And that really does increase your mental concentration. And it also helps you to be aware of just how busy your mind is and how to be aware of those distractions as they happen and kind of help your mind get back to center, get back to having that laser-like focus. And that really does help people with their productivity. And so some of my previous podcasts, I have walked you through some guided meditations on just calming yourself, focusing on the breath, and then beginning to count each breath, counting in cycles from 1 to 10, and then 10 back down to 1, and continuing to do that for longer periods of time. And all the time that you're doing that, without judgment, you're just catching those distractions. As long as you're aware, it's a really good thing because you're flexing your mind to be aware of what it's actually doing, to be present, to be focused on what it's actually doing minute and second by second. And as long as you're aware, it's a really good thing because then your mind can do something with it and say, okay, back to center, and it can learn to train itself to kind of filter out all the distractions and really stay on task for longer periods of time. And so it's really helpful also, you know, I teach that to executives and they get that, and as they start applying it, they see how, you know, in their workday they can be more productive and they can filter out all the clutter and the distractions in their email boxes and all their social media and blah, blah, blah. And just really be more centered on their priorities and feeling more productive with their day. As knitters, I know that, you know, some of us do work and some of us don't work, and some of us, well, most of us live really busy lives, whether you work or you don't work, right? And so it helps with that, but there's this added bonus of being able to train yourself to count and knit at the same time. And so that mental image of those numbers that you're counting in your head as you're meditating can then turn into a meditative practice as you're knitting, and you can apply that as you're, making one stitch and another stitch, you're actually visualizing the number that you're on. And then that in and of itself becomes this nice long meditative practice where you can actually stay on count and you can remember where you're at within your row count or your cast on without having to go back and recount and lose your count time over, time after time, and you're losing time really, and you're losing productivity when you haven't trained the mind to be a muscle and a tool that will work for you to your benefit, okay? And so this is what I love about teaching people about mindfulness as knitters. Our mind is a tool. And we all know as knitters, we all invest a lot of money in the tools of the trade to be better knitters. We invest in needles, we invest in stitch markers, we invest in scissors, in project pouches, and needle cases, and gauge rulers, and on and on and on, right? There's a lot of tools of the trade that will help us. And some of us are really reliant on stitch markers, right, as our kind of our safety net of stitches. So every time you get to 20, you put on a marker, and you get another 20 and you put on a marker, so you don't have to go back and count. And that's okay, but really you don't need that many stitch markers, and you can keep track of your stitches, and you can train your mind to be this fabulous tool that works for you if you just spend a little time working your mind like a muscle and taking it to the gym, just like you take your body to the gym, working it out and getting it in shape so that you know how to concentrate when you need to. Now, not all knitting requires a lot of heavy concentration, right? Sometimes you have those fun what we call potato chip knitting, where it's just stockinette for row after row, and you can take that to knit night, and you can take that and watch in front of the TV and do that. But there's some knitting that really does require some bit of concentration, like when you're just starting a pattern, you're just starting a cast on, you're just starting some ribbing, and you want to make sure that when you get around to your beginning of the round again, that you're not off by one stitch or two stitches, or where'd that come from, and then you got to rip back and go, it's frustrating, right? But if you can keep track of where you're at, and you can get yourself to focus for that little period of time, really focus and concentrate on how many stitches you need to have on your needles, and if you're doing a ribbing of 2 by 2, that you get through that whole thing and you are exactly spot on, and that's your mind being the amazing tool that it is, that it should work for you in those times when you need it. And so it also, I teach mindfulness because it helps to relieve the stress that comes from knitting. When we can do something and we feel proud of ourselves and we feel good about what we're doing, and we're not ripping back so much, and we feel confident in ourselves, and that our minds can get us there, it's a wonderful feeling. And it's frustrating when, have you ever had those times where you can't seem to keep track of where you're at with your knitting, and you make one mistake after another, and then pretty soon you just kind of feel like, oh, I just want to throw this thing in the trash because I don't know why I can't get it in my head. I just can't get my mind wrapped around this project. And sometimes we just have too much going on in our minds, and it's not that you can't do it. I feel pain. I feel pain for people who feel like they can't do things, or they get frustrated and they give up. And mindfulness can really help you overcome those pitfalls and help you overcome that tendency to judge yourself and be down on yourself, and it can turn that into a feeling of contentment and pride in your work, and it can relieve stress. So I know I keep looking down because I have some notes and I just don't want to miss any points here, but I know that a lot of us, we turn to knitting because we want it to be a joy. Hi, kitty. You want to come say hi? Joey's in the room. That's him meowing. And knitting really can be more of a joy. It can be something that we can sit back and relax with when we're not so frustrated, and when we know that there will be those times that we do need to focus, and we can save those times for when we have time to here's my kitty to actually focus. So I might need to pause here for a second because now I can't focus because my cat's in the room. I'm sorry, one sec. So I love my cat, but he'll just kind of run through everything, and then he tries to jump on all the shelves back there, and he'll go up to the top ledge of that, and he'll go across into the hutch behind me and try to jump on top of the anyway, he's very curious, and I love him to death, but now's not the time for him to be curious. So where was I? So yeah, I think that we just get more enjoyment out of our knitting. And if you're like me, a lot of us came to the knitting community seeking solace, if you will, or seeking a place of refuge, a place of just a place that we could feel comfort and heal from life. Just, sometimes life just bruises us, and we fall down and scrape our knees and we get hurt, and knitting can be a wonderful thing that you come to heal. And it's really hard to heal when you are casting down curses upon yourself because you can't seem to get it right. And just taking a few minutes every day to practice a little meditation and a little mindfulness, just focusing on your breath and counting, can really take you a long way, and you can really begin to enjoy your knitting much, much more and be much more at peace, and have those times where you just feel like you are comforted in that zone or that little bubble that you create with your yarn and needles. And so that's what I want you to be able to experience, and that's what I was able to experience with my knitting. But it did take me some time, and I did have to train myself. I mean, it's amazing. Our minds are so powerful, and yet when we're born, we're not given a instruction manual of how to use our minds. We have all this smart technology, our phones, our TVs, our laptops, our tablets, and all of those things come with instruction manuals, but your mind is infinitely more powerful. And it's sad that we rely on these, so-called smart gadgets, the smart technology, more than we even do trust our own mind or trust ourselves sometimes. And I would really like for you to feel like you could have a sense of taking that back for yourself and restoring confidence in who you are, confidence in your intelligence, in your mind, and your capabilities, because you are capable. You just need a little bit of instruction manual training, if you will, on how to use your mind and make it work for you, make it be the powerful tool that it is, so that you can feel proud of yourself. And that's what mindfulness training really does. The other thing that I got to talk to some of the women this week about that I was teaching was just this concept of acceptance. And acceptance is a really important thing to stop and think about, because we go through life and we have stress. So, I mean, stress happens, and hard times happen, and things happen that are out of our control. And sometimes things happen that we can fix, and we can, but we do something, but sometimes we can't. And it can really clutter up your headspace and prevent you from being able to focus and being able to just sit and enjoy something like your knitting or your crocheting. If there's something on your mind that you really are just suffering with and you can't accept. So for instance, so think of yourself as a person on your way to work and you're in your car early in the morning, there's lots of traffic, and you have come to a standstill. Everybody's gridlock stopped on the highway. You're not going anywhere, and you have to be in the boardroom at 8 a.m. to make this big presentation to your board members. And it's very important that you be there. Important people are going to be there. Your job depends on it. It's this very important thing that you have to do. And however, you're stopped in traffic and you know you're going to be late and your cell phone is dead. And there's no way for you to call the office. And since you're stopped, you think, well, maybe I could boot up my laptop. And for whatever reason, your laptop is dead too. You have no battery power that day, okay? You can't flag anyone, you can't phone anyone. All you can do is sit there in that traffic jam and wait for it to clear up. So what are you feeling in that moment? I know, like, it's no wonder there's so much road rage, right? I mean, we have so much stress on our plates every day, especially those of us who have to drive into work. Oh my goodness, the stress can be insurmountable. I mean, it's enough for you to just clench your fists and want to pull your hair out and scream curse words at people in the cars next to you. And you just wonder, like, why do I get in these situations? And your heart rate increases, and and you just feel all this frustration and ugliness going on, right? And if that's you, I know one woman says, well, I just pull out my knitting and I'll just, accept that's what I got to do. And I laughed. I thought, okay, yeah, you could do that. Hopefully you guys do not knit and drive. Please do not knit and drive. But if you were a passenger and you happen to have some knitting, or you were taking knitting with you, I guess if you were in gridlock traffic and you were absolutely in park, not going anywhere, that could be a time to knit. But the key thing is, we have to learn how to practice acceptance. So acceptance is the ability to not make a bad thing worse, okay? It's not apathy. It's not folding your hands and saying, oh, well, I don't care, that doesn't affect me, or that's not going to upset me. Except, we need to practice acceptance because we do care, because we do get hurt. And the more we add resistance to that pain, the more our suffering increases. So acceptance is the ability to let go and realize that, if there's something I can do to fix it, then why worry? And the contrary is true also. If there's nothing I can do to fix it, then why worry? It's a lot of undue energy that you're spending. And you need to think about all the things going on in your life that you have a hard time accepting. Those things will clutter up your mind. They will cause undue stress. You will release a lot of unnecessary energy over those things, and you will increase your amount of suffering over those things until you learn to accept, okay? And I know that some things are much harder than others, and I know it's not an easy thing to do. But when we practice radical acceptance, we can free our minds up for so much more, and we can relieve so much stress, so much undue stress that we put on ourselves. So think about that. Think about the ways that you can let go of just some of the things that are cluttering up your mental space, and give yourself a break. Give yourself some breathing space and just sit somewhere and just practice breathing and practice just having radical acceptance of just being able to let go and know everything is going to be okay. Whether you can fix it or not, everything is going to be okay. There's a time and place for everything, and sometimes it's not right now. Sometimes it's down the road. Sometimes we have to be very patient with not only with others but with ourselves. So anyway, take that lesson with you. I just really enjoyed teaching that this week, and I wanted to share it with you. And I hope that that will give you an ability to just relax. Okay, I also want to remind people that if you do want to get some more mindfulness in your life, there are some great apps out there that you can download. Some of them are free, and some of them, excuse me, some of those apps are free, and some of them come with a membership. So whatever you can afford, whatever is good for you, just even if you can take and do like 5 minutes a day, that you will see huge benefits in your ability to do that. There is a Calm app that I like, and on the Calm app there is a series on concentration, and they talk about the counting with the breath. And they talk about the difference between focus and concentration. So if you can, take a look at that one. I recommend it. It's really good. The other app that's out there is by Potential Project. And Potential Project is the company that we partnered with at my company to develop our mindful lessons. And they have a lot about increasing your ability to focus, meditation with the counting, practicing acceptance, and a lot of other things that I think are just hugely beneficial. So you can look up their app too. It's Potential Project. Okay. So we just finished a KAL. You can find our group on Ravelry, The Knit Cafe, spelled just like it sounds, The Knit Cafe, on Ravelry. And you can also find me on Instagram as Julie Knits, and also on Ravelry as Julie Knits, with a JEWELYKNITS. So that brings me to our new KAL for this summer. I'm very excited about it. I have been talking about my love of the penguono for a few months now. You guys know I've been saying, save up your stash yarn, get ready. I really want to do a penguono knit along. And lo and behold, wouldn't you know it, Stephen West came out just a few weeks ago with a new pattern called the Penguino for the wee ones in our lives. So it's the wee size version of the penguono. And Stephen West is also having a summer penguono knit along. So you can hashtag him and look up his summer KAL that he's doing for the penguono and the penguino right now. There's also another knit along going on that I want to make you guys aware of. It's the LYS Unity KAL, which Gemma Darling Daly and the Chelsea Yarn podcast, they kind of partnered together, and they got a bunch of local yarn shops and dyers to kind of get together and get behind that. And if you knit a cardigan, you can be in that Unity KAL, and they, I think, are planning to take a big kind of group picture at Rhinebeck that will culminate and wrap up that KAL. And it's hard to believe Rhinebeck is only, 3 months away now. We're mid to late July now, so August, September, October, yeah. So I hope to be there and be a part of that. And I think, their whole idea around unity is kind of around the idea that I have had with this KAL that I want to do, the Inclusion and Diversity KAL. And I wanted it to be a KAL where we knit a penguino or a penguino or some other type of sweater that would include a lot of marling of different types of yarns, or just a very colorful sweater that includes a lot of different colors of the rainbow. As many colors as you can really is the idea of the Inclusion and Diversity KAL. And the reason I was so excited about the penguino when I knit it was, I have talked about this a couple times now. Sorry if you're sick of hearing me talk about it, but it really taught me a great lesson in colors and how holding them together and marling them together, you get all these different effects. And when you just take everything out, all the colors in the crayon box, if you will, and you play with all of them, you begin to see how beautiful colors play with each other and complement each other, and how there's room for every color, and all of them are equally beautiful. They all belong, and it was just this beautiful picture to me of what inclusion and diversity is all about. It's about all of us appreciating each other, all of us being able to get along despite our differences, that we're all equally important, we're all equally beautiful, we're all equally, we represent different aspects of the rainbow, but you know, we're all beautiful in our own right, and we should be able to, interweave our lives together and do things and support one another and love one another. And, seeing the diversity of our community is a wonderful thing, and we get better because of it. And so anyway, so I loved that visual picture of knitting that sweater, and I thought, I need to talk about that because it's so relevant to our community and what we're going through right now. We need a lot more love, folks. We need a lot more love. We need bigger hearts in our community. We need to rise above and do more and be bigger hearted and embrace everybody, make everybody feel safe, make everybody feel included, make everyone feel loved and special. And that's really, really important to me. And that's what the Knit Cafe podcast is all about. It's about building community. It's about building a safe place for people. It's about people who are new to the community, who want to know more, how to get connected. And I hope to just spread a lot of good things. I'm not a news reporter. I don't know every last detail about everything that goes on in the knitting community, but I do my best to participate. I know that some hurtful things happened this last week or two ago, and I know you guys have seen all the stuff out there. I don't wish to make a bigger deal out of it, but it's just another example of how much work there is and how much we need to participate, to do our part, to reach out and just say, I support you, I see you, I love you, and I'm here for you, and I'm going to work to make this place a place of inclusion for everybody. So that's why I want to start this KAL, and I hope that you'll share it with your friends. I hope you'll pass it along. I'm going to continue posting it on my feed on Instagram, that we have begun the Inclusion and Diversity KAL. And yes, we will all get really good at spelling inclusion and diversity. We will hashtag it. Please hashtag it on Instagram. Please get the word out and get as many people involved as you can. And the thread has opened also on our Ravelry group for inclusion and diversity. So when you do have a finished object, a penguino, a penguono, or other sweater of your choice that is an example of lots of wonderful, beautiful color, then go ahead and post that out on our Ravelry thread at the Knit Cafe on Ravelry. What else do I want to say about this KAL? So I am going to run it through the end of summer to the end of, I believe, September. And then somewhere around the beginning of October, I will announce a winner of our KAL. And I would like to have several winners of our KAL. So if you are a yarn producer, a dyer, a knitwear designer, somebody who makes wonderful accessories for the crafting community, if you would like to donate something, some kind of prize to this KAL, I would be most grateful. Please get in touch with me. We do already have one such vendor who has come forward. Her name is Deborah. Her shop name on Etsy is Random Acts of Whoopsie, and she is going to allow a winner of this KAL to go out to her Etsy shop and pick a bag of their choice. So that is wonderful. She makes really special tote bags, you guys. So that's a great prize, and she's just gonna ship it to you for free. I mean, just, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. I love the love in this community. So please spread the love. Please do get involved. And I can't wait to start seeing you hashtag the things that you are starting to make. Please do hashtag it on Instagram. Let's get it going and see all the great things that come of it. I hope that it encourages people. I hope that it brings a smile to someone's face, and I hope that we become better friends in the process. So thank you very much for being willing to support this community and support this very important knit along. So last but not least, I want to show you some of the things I've been working on. So these are these beautiful socks that I knit. This is a lovely pattern by Yarnia Designs, Hannah of the UK. She has a podcast called Tales of Yarnia. And these are her Misty Mountains socks. And I just love the lace detail. This is a toe-up sock. And you can knit all of this in one piece, you guys. No cutting threads at all. You do your gusset increases, you do your heel flap, and you continue picking up as you gather up through here, and then you continue up here with the lace pattern, and then you bind off with a little cuff. I think her cuff is a 1x1 rib. I did a 2x2 just so I'd have a little bit more space in my leg. Excuse me, I got fluff in my nose. I'm sorry. And she has a link that you can go to and look at this stretchy bind off. This is a different stretchy bind off than I'm used to, and it has an extra yarn over in there that I think is a really brilliant idea for these ribs. So I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed learning how to do that on this pair of socks. So, and here's my second sock. So, yeah, 2 socks. And they fit really nicely. I knit these on size 1 Chow Goose, and I made her medium size sock. So by the pattern, Yarnia Designs Misty Mountains socks. Oh, and this yarn, this lovely yarn that you're looking at, this is Loco yarn. This is her speckled Phyllis sock, and it is called Flower Child. I love all those pretty speckles in there. You mostly have like this honey yellowish color running through it, and then she's got all these party pops of pink and purples and blues and greens. It's just fabulous yarn. Yeah, Hue Loco, Flower Child. Lots and lots of fun there. So I really enjoyed making those socks. The other thing, and you guys have seen this before, but this is my Mindfulness Matters hat, and I did put the pattern for this on Ravelry this last week, and so you can download this. This is a free hat pattern. This is my very first pattern that I've put on Ravelry. I'm very excited about it. And it's just a really cute little, it's a faux cable. And it's a 100 cast on, so you can practice your cast on counting of 100. And each one of these little rib sections is 10 stitches, so you get to count the sections in groups of 10. And without giving away everything, this little right twist stitch only happens every 4 rows. And it gives it just enough of a little bit of a cable detail. And I put this little handmade wooden tag on the bottom here. I thought was super cute. And my friend Catherine gave me this really super pretty pom-pom, which I thought was perfect for this hat. This yarn is Uncommon Thread, and it's their worsted, I think it's called their worsted squish. And this colorway is called Attic. It looks really brown right now, but there's a lot of gray in this hat actually. And I made a sweater for my dad out of this a couple of years ago, and so I had like half a ball left, and I was able to make this hat. So you knit it on US 6 for the ribbing and US 8 for the rest of the hat. And it's a lot of fun. It's a little bit slouchy and loose, which I like because I have a lot of hair, as you can tell. And so I kind of need a hat that won't squish my head too bad. But yeah, so that's that. Do some mindfulness knitting and have a free hat, you guys, on me. Okay, so what's on my needles? I got a little more work done this week on my golden hour shawl. I'm really loving this. So I have Farmer's Daughter fibers that I'm using. I'm on my last section here. She's got these big eyelets that you make with 2 yarn overs in this bottom section. And it's kind of cool because it matches the size of these baubles in this section. So you've got donuts and holes going on. And then she's got these eyelet borders going on in between each section, and this, it looks like color work, but it's mosaic slip stitch for that. And this is slip, and this is slip stitch. So it's knit from here in a big triangle, so I'm right about here. I can't fully stretch it out, otherwise it would fall off my needles. But I should have this done in the next week or so, and I can't wait. I really don't need to wear it anytime soon because it's still pretty hot outside this July, but yeah, I really love. So these colorways, this is Farmer's Daughter, I think I said that maybe. This is the colorway Buffalo Gal, and this is all worsted. It's their, I think this is called Worsted Squish. Yeah. And then this pink is called Ludlow's Army. It's pink with like a little bit of dirt in it. It's got some brown and some like, it's kind of almost green in there. And then this is called Elk Antler. Isn't that gorgeous? So yeah, I can't wait for that to be a really pretty outfit for this fall, all snuggled up. And I'm gonna wear this, I wear it as a cuff right now, but it's really one of those shawl, what do you call them? A shawl cuff. So I got this actually with the hopes to wear it on a couple of shawls this fall. So that's what's on my needles. And I also have one other sweater. I think I showed you guys I was beginning to work on this maybe in the last episode. This is the Noro sweater that I wanted to make this summer as just kind of one last summer knit. And this is a silk and cotton and rayon blend, I think. And it's got this gradient stripe going on with all these summer garden colors in it, which I really love. And I finally began the lace section on the sleeve. So you actually knit this flat. It's not joined in the round. You actually do some decreasing, and then when you're done, you sew it together and you sew it to the side panels of the sweater. And the sweater is a large two triangles, a big triangle in the front and in the back. So you've got those to kind of stitch to your arm pieces to make the whole thing work. Yeah, so this has these really big open eyelets in it too. And funnily enough, this is a double yarn over type of a hole construction going on here. Yeah, and this edging is actually, it's one of those edges that you make by knitting it's about 8 rows, and then the 4th row is a reverse stockinette on one side, so you have this purl bump that you can then fold it up and you bring it together and knit it together so that you have this rolled edge. And that's the sleeve cuff. But yeah, so I'm excited about that. Oops, I don't want to lose stitches there. So I might be able to get this done before the summer is over. What else? I have some little stash positions to show you real quick. I'm in love with mustache yarn right now. I think I showed you the Vespa colorway that I got it was around the 4th of July, and then I got this one in for my birthday. This is called Wool Goggles. Kind of like beer goggles, I guess, but they're wool goggles. You can see why. Look at those beautiful colors. I'm so in love with this. It's just such a party on the needles right there. So yeah, I'm excited to make myself some really pretty socks. And then I got this one. This is Queen of Soul, named after my woman, Aretha Franklin. And anything that has to do with Aretha Franklin, I have to, because growing up, I mean, I sang so much Aretha Franklin. I jammed out. Oh my gosh. I think I can sing just about every Aretha Franklin song she's ever done. I am an Aretha Franklin nutcase, okay? Yeah. So I remember in my college days, I was at William Patterson College in New Jersey, and they have this big loopy road that goes around campus, kind of windy, but it's like kind of like a big circular around the campus. And way back then, that was in the late 80s, I guess, I had a VW Rabbit, and it had a cassette deck. Yes, I'm aging myself. This was back when we listened to cassettes. And it was probably about 2 o'clock in the morning. I was coming home from a campus party to my dorm. So like the senior residents had dorms on one side of the campus, and then us freshman newbies had the towers on the other side of the campus. And rather than walking, I took my car over there, and I was driving around campus at 2 in the morning, rocking out to Aretha Franklin at 2 o'clock in the morning, and there was a campus police behind me trying to get me to slow down, and I was just so into my music that I didn't even see him. And finally, when he pulled me over, he was like, "Do you know how long I've been chasing you?" And he asked me how much. Of course, I had to drink, which luckily was not a lot. I was never really a big drinker, thankfully, but yeah, I was just really enjoying my music. That's all I was doing. So anyway, that's a long story, but I can't wait for this to be a beautiful something. I don't know, maybe I'll put that in a sweater and just make some kind of beautiful color work color or something on a, like a, you know, with some pretty creamy beige. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. Queen of Soul. I love that. Okay. So I think that's about all I have to show you this week. What else do I want to talk about as far as what's next? I can't wait to see what you guys are making. I can't wait to see the Inclusion and Diversity KAL get off the runway. I can't wait to start seeing pictures, you guys. Hint, hint. Bring on the pictures, bring on your projects, all that good stuff. I can't wait to see them. And I do have my birds of a feather stuff in there that I still want to get to. And I have my coffee house knit sweater that I need to get to, and I have my Emma sweater that I still need to make the sleeves and finish the pockets for. Hopefully I will have some of that done next week. And I have my 6 and 7 fiber, the big colorful Harry Potter KAL that I'm doing, which is in and of itself a nice big rainbow. So that fits for just, you know, celebration of color for inclusion and diversity. So anyway, yeah, lots of good things going on in the needles, and I can't wait to hear from you guys. And please tell me how you're doing. Tell me what you're thinking about the KAL, maybe in the comments below or on our Ravelry group. We have also a thread that I keep open. It's a, you know, show us what you're making thread. And so if you want to go in there and just share what you're currently making, what's on your needles, it doesn't have to be a part of the Inclusion and Diversity KAL. It can be just anything that you're excited about making that you want to share with us. So I'd love to see those too and get to know you. So please do post in there and, you know, ask each other questions and get feedback, and make it a place where you can build some community for yourself as well. So that's it. Hugs and kisses to you guys. I'm going to say goodbye now, and I'm going to end this podcast with a little bit of my craft room tour for you guys. All right, until next week. Bye. Okay, so welcome to my craft room. This is a little picture of a lamb that my mom painted for me. So coming in, we have my crafting shelves, and you've seen these on the podcast. I mainly do yarn over on this shelf, and I do my fabrics over on this shelf, with a few other things down there. As you can see, I've got some felting tools, some applique, some crochet, and I have a whole host of project bags going on down here. So up here in the top shelf, on the top right, we'll just start here. I have some felt, and I pull out some of these just for applique and sewing projects. I have my little Halloween bear. I bought that kit from Barrett Wool Co. from Susan B. Anderson last Halloween. I thought he was adorable. I have my little pom-poms that I made at my pom-pom class. And I have some kind of embroidery stuff in here, some threads. I have some project boxes with some fabric scraps and doing sewing some like needle case things, and I have some different project ideas going on there. I have some more needlework stuff in this little project box. I have another little stack of felt. It's kind of like felt scraps that I got in a bag back here, and these are all of my kind of little collection of stitch markers and notions. This little stitch marker and gauge ruler box, and this is a little Cocoa Knits thing that I just got. I really love it. I don't know if you guys have seen this. It's the leather cord and needle stitch holder kit, and you've got like a leather, I don't know if I can pull the whole thing out, but anyway, you've got these leather cords in here that basically hold your stitches in your sewing projects. Really cool. And down here I have some organized different fat quarters, little color things going together for different projects. Here's a little project bag that I made. Some strips, the 2-inch strips. I've got some hexies here for a bag that I want to make. I've got a block of the month from Fig Tree & Co. that I was supposed to make this last year, and here it sits. Some more just neutral fabrics and things for quilting back here. Got some tea towel sets for doing some embroidery. And then down here I've got just a stack of varied like linen and denim and cottons for a variety of different projects that I have in mind. Some of it is like clothing projects, some of it is for bags, some of it's for curtains and a variety of things. This is supposed to be a dress. This was going to be a pair of curtains, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it now. I kind of changed my mind after getting it home. You know how that goes. This is some Stylecraft yarn, some swirl. I'm making this into a blanket, which I really love. And I ordered some more of this yarn. I have 3 more of these, so I can make a full-size blanket eventually. And I bought some more Stylecraft to do a similar blanket, but just in a different colorway. And I have some roving for some drop spindle. I've been kind of slowly learning how to do that. It's been a lot of fun. Just a kind of fun little pastime. I don't know if it'll ever be any kind of yarn that I can do anything with, but it's fun learning anyway. These are some old crochet projects that I have, some little baby blanket things. This is a it's a nine square patch quilt thing that I did with some applique, flowers, and this black thing is my batting for it, and I just have to basically put it on and sew it up. How lazy is that of me? I just have this laying here. It's got these beautiful felted or applique flowers on it that, oh well, I won't dig the whole thing out to show you, but you get the idea. That's a, you know, one of those projects. It just sits there for a while. And down here I have some more of my crafting beads and things for making purses and necklaces. I have some felting, my Wool Buddy box, and somebody brought me an embroidery kit for Christmas that's down there. Some more tools like pliers and wires and things for making necklaces and such. Here's a whole plethora of project bags on this bottom shelf. What do you guys do with all your project bags? I'd like to know. It's really hard to keep them all clean and straight. This bottom shelf has kind of sweater quantities of yarn. So this brown DK is going to be my Coffee House Knits sweater. This is a coffee bean colorway, which I thought was perfect for a coffee house sweater. And so I can't wait to get that knit up. Under here is a Fair Isle project that I started last fall. It needs to be finished. I got to as far as the sleeves on this, and I'll just take it out and show you real quick. Ta-da! I'm being very, very honest with you guys about my knitting project. So this is a jumper in the making, but it is Fair Isle that instead of doing it in the round, it's worked back and forth, and that is so that you don't have to steek the center, which, believe me, I think I'd rather knit in the round and do a steek than go back and forth. In Fair Isle, I honestly did not see any value in doing it that way. And then it's got this little band of color work on the bottom, which is really cute. I like that snowflake pattern. So yeah, and then I got to the arms over here. I started doing a little bit of the color work, and I realized that the color work pattern just really did not, you can't really see it very well because I ripped some of it out. Anyway, the color work pattern, just for my sleeve size, it wasn't working out for me. It was a test knit. So I let the lady know that I was a little bit confused about what to do with the sleeves, and she said just, continue at the beginning, even though you have some leftover stitches underneath the arm, and it eventually you decrease and it gets better. And but yeah, it just, I don't know, maybe I'm just being anal retentive about it, but I didn't like that it wasn't exact. So maybe I just need to be brave and just go back and do it and just do the best that I can. And anyway, and here's another sweater quantity of yarn. This is my Yarn Cafe creation, their colorway Heresy. And I can't wait for this to be a pullover. I have a pattern for it picked out. I just need to get the time to get it out and get it on the needles. And this is that Green Mountain yarn that I showed you guys that I got as a gift. I showed that in the last episode, and that I think is going to be a cardigan. I'm still trying to decide on that. And then up here we have, sorry about all the crinkliness, but this is my Harry Potter KAL in the 6 and 7 fiber. These are some different skeins I got this summer. This is a mulberry silk and cotton, and this is a boucle. I was going to make a striped sweater out of this. These are some other beautiful things I got that are waiting to be projects. This is a bin of sweater yarn. This is from Norway. And this is going to be a colorwork sweater. This is, come on and focus here. Ask yarn. It won't focus. Anyway. It's beautiful. It's like it's blues and browns and creams. So someday when I get brave enough, I will make this sweater. It's some pretty intense color work. This next shelf, I've just got a bunch of worsted weights, mainly wools. I've got my Mr. B's yarn here from my Birds of a Feather shawl waiting. I have some leftover Barrett Wool Co. from my Tecumseh sweater that I made. I have some Farmer's Daughter fibers in here from my Ramblin' Woman sweater that I made. Here's some of that gorgeous rose. It's like a vintage rose color. I don't know. It's beautiful. And the gold color. I have some Let Lopi back here. Whoopsie. Now I'm dropping it everywhere. Anyway, the Icelandic yarn. I have my Brooklyn Tweed Quarry in here that I'm making my Emma sweater out of. I have some more balls of my Noro yarn that I'm making my summer sweater out of in here. And then up here I have this gradient that I got to make a crochet shawl out of. I have some tuku wool back here. That's this one, and I don't know where the other one is. Anyway, and Kinsey fibers. This is from Australia. I have a bunch of Fingel garn here for doing color work, like that sweater I showed you down below, and Christmas mitts and a variety of things. This is kind of my color work basket. And then I have some leftover bits and bobs of fingering weight that like this was part of my So Faded sweater that I have on today that you guys saw. This is some leftover from my Novelli that I made. And these are some different sock weight yarns waiting to be socks. And some more kind of balled up skeins back there that I started on and then didn't finish. Yeah, and some minis in here for heels and toes and different things. This is actually a Susan Crawford for the what was it, the mitten cowl that Skander Knits came out with last year, and I just never got to making that. This is a little sewing box with a little pattern keeper that I put on top of it. And this is just a little hutch that I've got some books and things that I like to draw with. And that's a tote up there that I made. It's just fun for, I have a bunch of different quilting blocks in there also, which I don't want to pull all of it out. It'll probably dump out, but I have a bunch of fabrics that I keep in here for another quilt that I'm about to make, and another project on that side for another bag that I'm going to make. And then I have some sewing patterns up here, and this is kind of a hodgepodge of sewing and knitting and crochet books. And then over here I just have some old buttons. These are some crochet hand cloths that I made. I usually keep a stack or two of those around just for easy like baby gifts and things. These are some like baby headbands with flowers that I made. That's my sewing arm just hanging there. And I have my yarn binder. I have a little organizer here for pins and bobbins and buttons and sewing notions and sewing feet and all that good stuff. And this is some more yarn stash over here. I've got some Debbie Bliss Cashmerino. I've got some fabric scraps. I've got some Cascade left over from a blanket I made. Yeah, some of these are like some half projects and some projects waiting to be done. I've got some cotton for some different crochet and kitchen towels and things like that, and some more kind of sock yarns. And then I have some bins down here that I keep a lot of like crochet cotton for toys and things like that down here. Here's my twig and horn bag. I just got this lovely thing. This is from Ritual Dyes. A little crab. And then over here is my baby lock. I love this sewing machine. And my little this is my little table where I press, you know, things. I got this little tiny iron for quilting and pressing little pieces as I go, and my little cutting mat underneath. Just some sewing notions and things there. This is my wall of scissors. I have some sock blockers. I have some quilting fabric rulers. And yes, the scissors that nobody can touch. This is my left-handed rotary that I love because I can push it with my left hand because I'm a lefty. Anyway, I love that. And over here on the wall, I have some buckets of different needles, a variety of DPNs. That's some of my older Knitter's Pride. I have some cases of crochet hooks back here. And I think I have some like little knitting notions in there. My little squirrel bag. I have zippers and I have elastic and ribbons up in there. And this window has one of those film coverings over it, just so I get some light in the room. And yes, I made those curtains. I made them a couple years ago for a different room. I might switch them out soon. And then over here, so coming around the room, this is a crafting height table, and I keep my Swift locked on it for winding. But I have my cutting mats down for cutting, and I have a lot of my projects up here right now since I'm not, you know, cutting any major items for sewing. But I kind of sit up here, and this is where I podcast. I've got my little cameras and things set up. These light stands have umbrellas, and back in here in my closet I have some other like sewing things, some pillows, some stuffing, some wax paper for tracing. And this top of this closet I have some other totes and things that I've brought home, some sewing baskets, and I have another little thing of organized fabrics. This I have for some more quilting that I was going to do. I have some felting in here. Anyway, I took the doors off of this closet, and my next big to-do is to get some of these tables moved in there and make that closet more efficiently used. So I'm going to take the closet bar out and just build some like hutch-like shelving in there, and then put a desk or a craft height table in there. I'm not sure which yet, because these two tables are coming out into the room. And under here I have, you know, like my blocking mats and some other things. I have my sewing machine tote. Anyway, and we're back to the beginning. It's my craft room. Hope you enjoyed it. This up here, this big wall, if you're wondering, all that up there is, I have a very high ceiling, which is nice. When we moved in, I had my husband help me hang some clips up there, and I hung up this big queen size quilting batting up there so I could have a quilting wall, and I used it for putting up my quilting squares. And then I kind of ran out of room in the crafting room, so I rolled it up, and it's just kind of sitting behind my my shelves, if you will. And so I just have some decorative stuff up there, and all of this is taking over the room right now. So that's it, you guys. Bye for now.